Imagine Chaim's on his way to the World Chess Championship. This is a game of all games. This is going to determine who the best chess player in the world is, the biggest grandmaster. It's between Bobby Fischer from the US and Boris Spassky from Russia. So he comes to the stadium along with thousands and thousands of other people. And he makes himself comfortable in his seat, and everybody sits down and everybody's quiet, and you can feel the excitement in the air. You can hear a pin drop, it's so quiet, and everybody starts to focus on the board. And Bobby Fischer sits down and Boris Spassky sits down, and they begin to play. So it's Bobby Fischer's first move, so he makes his move. And Boris looks at the board and he makes his move. And everybody's concentrating on this game. All these guys love chess. They're here to watch the chess. They love chess. So they're watching this game. And the game gets more and more intense. So let's fast forward to move number 27. Move number 27, it's Bobby Fischer's go. And he's stuck. He doesn't know what to do. It looks like he's going to lose the game. And he's looking at the board and he's focusing and he's thinking. Now, there's like a 3-minute clock that every guy has to make his move. Alright, they don't want to be there all night. So there's a 3-minute clock. So Bobby Fischer's focusing on when he's thinking. Now, Chaim in the crowd, and as well as everybody else in the crowd, what are they doing at this time? They're thinking, if I was in Bobby Fischer's, if I was sitting in his shoes, what would I do? What would the move be? What would my move be? What does he have to do? So Chaim's sitting there and he's thinking, well, he comes up with two possibilities. Either he can move his bishop or move his castle. And he's thinking, but he's not sure, he doesn't know. And he's thinking, and the clock ticks down. 3, 2, 1. Bobby Fischer picks up his hand, reaches over to the board, and pushes the timeout buzzer. Everybody goes, oh. And he has another 3 minutes. So again, 3 minutes counting. And Chaim's sitting in the crowd and he still has his two possible moves that he's thinking about. This looks like the game's over. And the 3 minutes count down and Chaim thinks to himself, you know what? He's got to take the castle. He's got to do the castle. That's just what he's going to do. And 10 seconds left. 9, 3, 2, 1. Bobby Fischer picks up his hand, puts it on the castle and moves it forward. Chaim breaks out into a smile. Wow! Yeah, I'm holding. And he's excited. It's amazing. And Bobby Fischer makes a huge comeback. And he ends up winning the game. And everybody cheers from the US. Yeah, go America. So everybody goes home. Now everybody on their way out of the stadium, everybody stops off at the booth. Now they print out the after game, meaning they print out all the different moves that happened during the game, as well as who won, because some people like to study it afterwards and go through it and, improve their own game. So he picks up one of these papers and he goes home. So he takes it home, he gets home, he throws it on the kitchen table, and he goes to sleep. And the next morning, Shmuley, his son, wakes up, and he sees a piece of paper on the table. He picks up the paper, and he's eating his cornflakes and milk, and he's going over the moves. Now, what does he do first? He checks to see who won. You got it. Oh, Bobby Fischer won. Great. And then he goes through the moves, and he's looking at it, and he's, oh, nice game, very exciting. If we compare the experience that Chaim had at the game versus Shmuley's experience, if you can call it an experience, if we compare these two things, they're very, very different. Number one, the sense of excitement. Chaim's at the game. He's live at the game. It's tremendous excitement over there. His son Shmuley, there's no excitement. He's sitting at the breakfast table over a bowl of cornflakes and milk. So there's no excitement. Number two is the anticipation. Everybody at that stadium, those thousands of people, they're anticipating who's going to win the game. They want to know. They came to see who's going to win. Now, Shmuley, looking at the piece of paper, there's no excitement of who's going to win. It says it at the bottom of the paper. Just read it. Oh, Bobby Fischer won. So, boom, you lost that element. And the third element is something very deep. It's if we look at move number 27, when those 25,000 people are sitting there at move number 27, what is every single one of them doing? Again, they're not drinking their Coke. Every single one of them is thinking, if I was sitting in Bobby Fischer's shoes, what would I do? Now, Shmuley, his son, when he's looking at the paper, does he have that element? No, of course he doesn't. What do you mean, what's he going to do? Just read the next line, move number 27. Bobby Fischer moves the castle. So you don't have that element either when you're Shmuley versus when you're Chaim at the game. If we have to compare the gemara, learning gemara, to one of these two situations, Shmuley on the piece of paper or Chaim live at the game, obviously, gemara is Shmuley with the piece of paper. We have our gemara. Everything is all written down. Now, number one, do we have the excitement of being live at the game? Are we live when Ravina and Ravashi, when Amoraim were arguing at everything? No, we're not live at the game. We're sitting in front of a piece of paper. So we're Shmuley sitting in front of a piece of paper. Number two is the anticipation of what he's going to do. There's no anticipation. Amar Abaye, he asks a question and he answers a question. It's all there. Everything is all there. There's no element of what's going to be, because it's all there. And number three is that move number 27, that element of move number 27. Do we have that in Gemara? Well, what are you going to predict? You're going to think that Abaye is going to say something? Just read what he said. What are you predicting? Read what he said. So Gemara learning is very, very similar to Shmuli. It's lahadil from chess, obviously, but very similar to Shmuli with the piece of paper in front of him. Rabbi said the Yesod is going to be, we have to turn Gemara into Chaim live at the game. Now, how do we do that? How are we going to do that? It's impossible. Everything's there. So there are generally two mehalchim that people have when they approach Gemara. Two mehalchim, and they're completely different. Roiv people learn a certain way. We'll call it mehalach number one. Very few people learn with mehalach number two. Mehalach number one is the fact that I appreciate that there's a lot of information here. The Gemara is full of information. The Gemara, the Mishnayos, the Gemara, the Rishonim, Achroidim. There's tons of information here, and I have to get this information. There's a lot of chachman. I need to get this into here. So I'm going to study this. I'm going to read it. I'm going to chazer it. I'm going to memorize it. I'm going to go over and over and over in order for me to get this information into here. Now, we have to ask ourselves, what is Gemara? What is Gemara be'etzem? If you think about it, Gemara mainly is the Amoraim learning the Mishnah. It's the Amoraim learning a Mishnah. The Amoraim looked at the Mishnah, and they're learning the Mishnah, and they're asking questions. It's the Amoraim thinking about the Mishnah. It's their thought process, and it's huge. It's the process that the Amoraim went through when they learned the Mishnah. It's what they did when they learned the Mishnah. That's what Gemara is. If I learn Gemara in Mahalach number one, when I finish a Mishnah and I go to the Gemara and I say Pshita, you know I'm going to teach that word Pshita? You know what the teich of Pshita is? Frek the Gemara Pshita. The Gemara is bothered by a question, Pshita. There's no Chiddush in the Mishnah. That's how I'll learn it if I learn in Mahalach number one. If I learn in Mahalach number two, you know I'm going to teach Pshita? Not Frek the Gemara Pshita. The Gemara wants me to ask Pshita. The Gemara wants every single person that's learning this Mishnah to ask Pshita. Ravina and Ravashi are holding my hand, and every single other person's hand who ever learned a Mishnah going through the Daryas 1500 years until right this second, and they're saying, when you learn the Mishnah, the question that screams out is Pshita. You need to ask Pshita. This is a question that needs to be asked. That's how we touch the word Pshita. Now there's two ways to do that. How do you do that? So either you learn the Mishnah, and you start learning the Gemara, and you say, the Gemara is asking Pshita, I need to make sure I'm asking it as well. So I say Pshita, and I work it out. And yeah, it's taka shver to me. It's very shver. But Rabbi said there's another way. Imagine you're sitting in the stadium, 100 rows up. Bobby Fischer is at move number 27. He doesn't know what to do. He turns around, he stands up, and he points at you and he says, yeah, you come here. And you slowly make your way down to this floor. And Bobby Fischer says, sit down, sit in my seat. And you say, okay, and you sit down in his seat. And he says to you, make a move. Make the move. And you say, make the move? I don't know. I'm not a grandmaster. He says, you know how to play chess, make the move. And you sit on the board and you think, and you start to think. And you break your head and you say, what am I going to do? What's the move? You don't want to lose this game for Bobby Fischer. What am I going to do? What's the move that needs to be made over here? And you think and you think, and you know what you come up with? You scream out, Pshita! Pshita, it's shver! And you turn, you look over your shoulder, you look up at Ravina and Ravashi, and you say, is that what I'm supposed to be asking? You look at the next word after the Gimel and the Mem with the little chupchik, and if it says Pshita, Ravina and Ravashi are telling you, yes. Very good, you're on track. You're asking the question. And you turn again to the board and you look at the board. And you say, and you think to yourself, what's the next move? What am I going to do? And you decide to move the pawn up. And you turn around and you look up and you say, was that the right move? And you see that Bobby Fischer says, no, I'm doing this. You need to move the bishop. And you say, what do you mean the bishop? I gotta move the pawn. We're gonna lose the game. This is the move that has to be made. And Ravina and Rav Ashi are silent. They don't say anything. And suddenly you hear from the crowd, Rashi screams out and he says, that's my kasha too. I have that shver. The Ramban screams out and says, that's shver. Tosfos says, that's shver. We have that kasha. Baruch shekivanta to Rashi. Baruch shekivanta to Tosfos, to the Rishonim. And you say, wait, and they say, you know what pshat is? There's a gemara in Baba Metzia. You forgot the gemara. You should know it. There's a gemara in Metzia. That'll answer everything up. We had that shver too. Mahalach number 2. We need to appreciate that the gemara is a process that we need to go through. The gemara is a process that we need to go through ourselves. We need to experience the gemara. When I learn a Mishnah, I'm going to be an Amoira. When I learn a Mishnah, I'm not going to jump to the Gemara right away. I'm going to do everything I possibly could before I come to the Gemara. And obviously there's the right thing to do. You know what the right thing to do is? Do what the Gemara does. I need to learn how the Gemara thinks. I need to be like Rav Gustman. When he learned a Mishnah, he predicted what the Gemara was going to ask. It's not such a big deal. When I learn a Mishnah, I need to be an Amoira. When I learn a Gemara, I need to be a Rishon. I am going to be Rashi. Do you understand what that means? You appreciate what Rashi does. If I learn Gemara Rashi, Gemara Rashi, Gemara Rashi, I'm shooting down Pshat and Rashi. I won't appreciate what Rashi's doing. I need to be the grandmaster. I'm going to become a player. I have to give my own das. I'm going to become a player, and then I'm going to appreciate what Rashi does. Because I'm going to make the move. I'm going to say, Rashi, was that the right thing to do? And Rashi will come out of left field and say, boom, something else. And I'll say, what do you mean? And I'll appreciate what he did. But if I don't think on my own before, it's me m'chavahala. I severed my connection. If I say frek the Gemara pshita, what does that have to do with me? That's not personal. It has to be personal. It says Rav Yitzchak Kanpanton, this is my most favorite line in the entire Sefer. He says the following. He says, Kasher ta'ayin b'gemara. Ki batchila ta'ayin b'chol ma'amatzei koichacha. When you're learning Gemara, use your entire koichas. V'heve mishtadel lehavin. Try to understand b'sichlecha kol ma shetuchal. Everything that you possibly could. B'terem tovei lirois. Mashe pirshu hamefarshim al oisa mishnah u Gemara. Everything you possibly could. You know why? Because then you're a player. And you'll know what the te'eles is going to be. You know, if you do this, you know what the te'eles is going to be? You're going to learn how to think like a grandmaster. You're going to learn how to think like the Gemara, like the Rishonim. You can learn for 20 years. A person can learn his whole life. And he will never once, when he's learning Gemara, ask himself, what's my personal opinion? What do I think? Now, obviously, your personal opinion doesn't really matter against the Rishonim. But I have to appreciate the Rishonim. I need to become a player. I need to say, would I have asked this question? Would I have asked this question? Number one, so I'll learn how to think like the grandmasters. Number two is, I won't get lost. We get dragged, the Gemara can drag us around. We get banged and bruised up with the shakla v'tarya. I'm getting lost because I come in on the left foot. I come in behind the game. I'm not ready for what the Gemara is going to do. It becomes Toirosai. If you learn like this, it becomes Toirosai, not Toiros Hashem. Toiros like the Gemara in Avodah Zarah says, Daf Yotes. Toiros Hashem v'achakach Toiros, it becomes personal. It becomes mine. And you know what? You remember it way better. Because if I had a kasha on a sugya, if I had something very shver, I learned the Mishnah and something really, really bothered me. This Mishnah is not mechadesh anything. Something really bothered me. It bothers me. You know what? You're going to remember that. If you had now, as many kashas of the Gemara that I can make my own personal kashas, I'll remember them because it's my kashas. Mahalach number 2. I want to end with the most beautiful vart. We'll start with the mashal. A guy gets lost in the desert. He's walking in the desert for 3 days straight. He gets lost. His water runs out and he's going to die. He's almost going to die. He's so thirsty. I feel like that a little bit. He's so thirsty that he can't breathe anymore. And he drops to the ground. And he's about to faint. And suddenly in front of him he sees an ice cold bucket with 3 bottles of water inside. His eyes light up and he says, oh. And he commando crawls over to that bucket of water and he picks up a bottle. He picks up the first bottle and he says, Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech Ha'olam Shehakol Niyeh Bidvaroi. And he takes a sip. Nothing in the world tastes better than that first sip. Amazing. And he continues to drink. because he's dehydrated. He continues to drink and more, and he finishes the first bottle. He moves on to the second bottle, and even the third bottle. Now something very strange happens. When he opens that third bottle to take a sip, it's gross. It tastes horrible. He Pasha can't handle it anymore. He's dehydrated, so he has to drink, but he just can't handle that drink anymore. Now, so what changed? The first sip that he took, nothing tasted better in his life, but the last bottle, it's the same exact water. What changed? That's right, thirst. Thirst changed. He was thirsty. Water, be'etzem, intrinsically does not have any flavor. There is no hana'ah in drinking water when you're not thirsty, which is why we don't make a bracha. It's not begeder asr lahana ismin alam zebeloi bracha, because I don't have hana'ah if I'm not thirsty. And the thirstier you are, the more geschmack it'll be. The more, that first sip, when the guy's 3 days in the desert and he's about to die, there's nothing more geschmack in the world. It says, Hoi kol tzomei l'chu l'mayim. Ein mayim ela Torah. Torah is compared to mayim. You know why? Because Torah itself intrinsically does not have any flavor. You want to have flavor from Torah, you need to be thirsty. You have to have tzima'in. The more thirsty you are for learning, the more thirsty you are for the Torah, the more it'll quench your thirst. Now, if you're the guy in Vilna and you appreciate what Torah is, that it's every single word is Dvar Hashem, you'll be thirsty. But Rabbi, so we're not holding that madriga. How do we connect to the Torah in that sense? How do we connect? We have to. So there's a big line I saw once. What thirst is to water, a question is to Chachma. You want to have geschmack from Chachma, from Torah, you need to ask questions. Things need to bother you. When I learn the Gemara, when I learn the Mishnah, and I say, and something bothers me, something really personally bothers me, I'm thirsty for answers. And when I see the Gemara says Pshita, and I'm on board, that's geschmack, but I want to know the answer. What is the Mishnah being Mechadesh? It has to be Mechadesh something. What's the Mishnah being Mechadesh? Minalan, or Mini. All these questions have to be my personal problems, and the thirstier I am, they'll drive me crazy. They'll drive me crazy, and I'll get involved. It'll be my problem, my personal issue. There's Mahalchim, how you learn. When you learn a Mishnah, you have to be an Amar. So we have to learn, we're going to take some steps. We're going to see all the different, what to ask. There's a lot to do here, but when you learn a Mishnah, first we have to appreciate what a Mishnah is. A lot of times we never really thought about it. There's basic ideas, but before we try to be an Amoira and a Mishnah, we have to appreciate what a Mishnah is. There's 5-6 parts to every single Mishnah. We have to break it down. We have to appreciate what the Mishnah is. And you know what? By doing that process itself, we're already tapping into what the Amoraim do.